There was a political debate last night in Pennsylvania between the candidates running for Senate, Republican Dr. Oz and Marxist Democrat John Fetterman. And the outcome of this race could very well determine which party has the majority in the Senate after the midterms. And so you would think that this would be a massive televised event. But CNN and MSNBC, and of course the big brand name broadcast networks, didn't air it live because they didn't want anybody to see the debate. The first two words out of John Fetterman's mouth in the first 10 seconds of the debate make it crystal clear why.
You're running for a seat that could decide the balance of power in Washington. What qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Now, look, I think it's inappropriate to make fun of somebody who's handicapped. Unless they're obese, then they're fair game. But this is the guy who had the stroke just a few days before the primary, and then his campaign and his wife covered up how bad it was and said it was totally minor, he's totally fine. And then he didn't do any interviews because he has cognitive processing issues with verbal speech, not only speaking, but also hearing. And so, to his credit, he did do the debate, but this is one of the most saddest things and the most embarrassing debates probably in the history of politics. This was his response when he was asked if he would release his medical records.
Mr. Fetterman, will you pledge tonight to release those records in the interest of transparency? You have 60 seconds.
No. To me, for transparency is about showing up. I'm here today to have a debate. I have speeches in front of 3,000 people in Montgomery County, all across Pennsylvania, big crowds. I believe if my doctor believes that I'm fit to serve, and that's what I believe is appropriate. And now with 2 weeks before the election, I have run a campaign and I've been very transparent about being very open about the fact we're in use captioning. And I believe that, again, my doctors, the real doctors that I believe in, they all believe that I'm ready to be served.
So that's a no, of course, but to the moderator's credit, he pressed him on it.
I didn't hear you say you would release your full medical records. Why not? You have 30 seconds.
No. Again, my Dr. L believes that I'm fit to be serving, and that's what I believe is where I'm standing.
Okay, Mr. Fetterman, thank you. Mr. Oz.
Just one more, because again, I don't want to be mocking this guy, and it's not really about him. It's about the Democrat Party and the liberal media industrial complex being so corrupt that they protected him and didn't allow anybody to interview him, didn't allow him to give any interviews. And then after the one reporter from NBC was granted a sit-down interview with him, and then she admitted his condition, then the Democrats and the liberal media started attacking her and wanted her disciplined. But here he is being asked about his flip-flopping regarding fracking, which is a huge issue there in Pennsylvania.
I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman.
I'm sorry, Lisa.
This is bad. This is very embarrassing. Maybe not as embarrassing as some of the liberal media trying to spin and cover up for him, however.
There were moments where he was really strong, including that Bernie Sanders quip, including his very fluent and direct response on raising the minimum wage. I thought was a really strong moment for him.
He was able to finish one or two sentences and not sound like he was impaired. And those are the only clips that CNN and MSNBC are showing in their wrap-up coverage of the debate.
Had some really, really strong comebacks, and his opponent, Oz, was, first of all, he also fumbled, right? I fumble on television, right? So there is...
I definitely fumble
Oz was
on
nervous
television.
and hesitant at first, too.
Yeah, he was just nervous on television, and Dr. Oz mumbled and misspoke a few times, too. I'm not even going to play this clip because it's too long, and it's just Jake Tapeworm pretending to be a journalist and completely glossing over the obvious impairments and the embarrassment that occurred at the debate. Jake Tapeworm says that he's a native of Pennsylvania, so he has a personal stake in this, aside from being paid probably $20,000 a day like these paid liars are to get up on air and read off of a teleprompter. So he, too, just showed one clip where Fetterman was able to put together a sentence, and then made some comments about the debate, and then moved right along as if nothing unusual at all happened. The most insane hot take, however, came from the blue check Twitter account Occupy Democrats, and this is not sarcasm. This is really a liberal Twitter account that is doing everything they can to promote the Marxist agenda, and they gaslit their readers by saying that, quote, John Fetterman is crushing Trumper Dr. Oz right now. He's crushing him. Occupy Democrats is such a waste of cyberspace that even Wikipedia has called them a fake news website. And if you know how biased Wikipedia is and how instrumental they are in the wrap-up smears and the liberal media industrial complex, you would know that that is quite an accomplishment. So even Wikipedia says Occupy Democrats is an American left-wing media outlet built around a Facebook page and corresponding website. Established in 2012, it publishes false information, hyper-partisan content, and clickbait. Although this MSNBC pundit is definitely giving them a run for their money, she said that Dr. Oz just gave a masterclass on how to bully people with disabilities. Joe Scarborough over at MSNBC has probably deleted this tweet by now, and apparently he had a few too many glasses of wine for dinner last night because he said that, quote, this is painful to watch regardless of one's politics. Okay, just one more so you don't think that these were just a couple isolated instances. This was literally how the majority of the debate went. It was utterly embarrassing, like I said.
Now, we all have to make sure that everyone that works is able to, that's the most American bargain, that if you work full-time, you should be able to live in dignity as well, true. And I believe they haven't have any businesses being we can't have businesses being subsidized by not paying individuals that just simply can't afford to pay their own way.
Even Fredo at his new home on News Nation, again, a fledgling cable channel that gets literally fewer viewers than my YouTube channel, had to admit the obvious.
Voters, I think, saw things that will definitely change the state of this race. It's not his fault, but Lieutenant Governor Fetterman struggled. And again, I'm not faulting him for it. I don't think his preparation was great, but he clearly is dealing with health issues that affect his ability to process and his ability to speak.
Aside from being mentally unfit for office and covering that up with the help of the liberal media and the Democrat Party, he is about as far left as a communist can be. He wants to let go something like 1/3 of the people who are in prison, incarcerated, and legalize all drugs. And if you live in Pennsylvania, you better get out and vote because the fate of the Senate rests upon your shoulders. Something else that can rest on anyone's shoulders are some of my awesome shirts from my online store at markdice.com. So head on over there and order your climate change shirt, an Arrest Dr. Fauci shirt, an F. Joe Biden shirt, or any of my awesome designs. All available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and for you, John Fetterman, a hoodie. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.